guys, we're here with Joseph Kosinski, the director of Oblivion. So this has been a big project for you for years, from beginning stages to graphic novel to the screenwriting. And I've heard that Universal has said it's one of the most beautiful scripts they've ever come across. Can you tell us about the writing process and what it was like to get to that point?
Well, it started as a short story I wrote in 2005. I developed it as an illustrated novel with Radical Comics for a couple years. And then when I sold it to Universal, worked with a couple of really talented screenwriters to kind of bring the script to life. Karl Gajicek and Michael Arndt, who both are great screenwriters. And yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I'm really proud of the script, really proud of the story. It's always, it was designed as a character-driven story, and then, the action and the spectacle is kind of always in support of that.
Well, speaking of characters, when you first envisioned Jack Harper, did you always kind of have Tom Cruise in mind as the lead, or were you not sure about how that would play out?
Well, I knew that in order to get an original science fiction film made, you need to have a movie star to make something like this. And so, to have Tom Cruise in this film is something it's something you think about, a pie-in-the-sky dream, but to actually get him in it was a really big thrill. I still can't believe it.
How did that work out? How did he become attached to it?
He got his hands on a small kind of preview comic that I handed out at Comic-Con in 2010, and he called me up and said, I've seen this little story you put out. It sounds really interesting. I know you're interested in developing into a film. I'd love to hear more about it. So I went over to his hangar at Burbank Airport and just kind of pitched him the story over an hour or two, and he really fell in love with it. He understood it right off the bat, understood the character, and joined up, and now we are here 3 years later. The film's done. Really exciting.
How did you think of all these amazing things, like this bubble ship behind us, and how did that come to be?
Well, this was kind of one of the first things that I did when I wrote the story. I designed kind of a sketch of the Sky Tower, which is where Jack Harper lives, and then, his main mode of transport, this bubble ship, which I always envisioned as a cross between a helicopter and a fighter jet. So it's very maneuverable, but what I like most about it is the visibility out of the cockpit. When you see this movie, you're going to be riding along with Tom Cruise, patrolling the skies over Earth, and I really wanted the audience to be there with him, and that glass cockpit really affords, these kind of spectacular visuals.
Do you feel like the movie has lived up to the way that you originally imagined it and conceived the idea?
Absolutely. I think it's exceeded it. This started as, a small character-driven story 8 years ago about the last man on Earth. And now, to be sitting here 8 years later with Tom Cruise, Morgan Freeman, Melissa Leo, Andrea Riseborough, Olga Kurylenko, bringing these characters to life, it's a real thrill.
So you're also known for getting amazing soundtracks and scores, Daft Punk on Tron, and now we have M83 doing the soundtrack for Oblivion.
Yeah.
How did they become involved with the project?
Well, I was introduced to Anthony of M83 by my good friend Jason Bentley, and
KCRW?
Of KCRW, and I was looking for, it had worked out so well with Daft Punk and Tron. I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to bring a musician from outside the movie business to create an original score for an original film. And Anthony's music is it's very cutting edge, but at the same time it's very emotional. And this film needed something like that. And I'm really excited for people to hear this soundtrack. It's unique. It's big, and I'm just as excited about it as I was about Tron.
What was it like filming in Iceland?
It was tough. It's gorgeous landscape. The light is amazing, but we were there, in the middle of summer, the longest day of the year, and it was still 35 degrees.
Wow.
Wind is just, blowing off the glacier. So it's a tough place to shoot, but I'm so glad we did it because the landscape there is like nothing else you've ever seen. It feels like Earth did maybe 1 million years ago. It's primordial and the perfect setting for this movie.
So what's going on with Tron 3? Is that in the works, and is the cast of Legacy going to return?
We're working on the script right now. A really talented writer named Jesse Wigatow is writing it as we speak. I'm really excited about the idea we have. It really opens up the world of Tron in an exciting way. It delivers on some of the promises we made in Tron Legacy. So I'm really excited. It's just about getting the script there, and we'll see what happens.
And what about Black Hole? What's the status on that?
Black Hole, also, we've got some really exciting news coming out, hopefully in the next week or two, about Black Hole. But again, really exciting idea there. It's a deep space exploration to the center of the galaxy. I think could be a spectacular movie. So I'm really excited about that as well.
So you work a lot in sci-fi genres. I'm sure you're a big fan of that genre in general. What are some of your favorite sci-fi films?
Boy, there's so many. I mean, obviously 2001 for me, I think, is still kind of one of the greatest films of all time. Forget science fiction. Blade Runner, another one of my favorites.
Just saw that one last week for the first time.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I went to a special screening. I wanted to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it wasn't appreciated in its time, but just an absolutely beautiful movie. Obviously I grew up, in the early 80s, so Star Wars was a huge part of growing up. All those movies, obviously really formative films for me, and, people will see elements of those films in Oblivion, I'm sure.
Well, speaking of Star Wars, are you excited to see what happens with Episode 7 with J.J. Abrams directing? And how do you think Disney is going to change the whole genre of Star Wars?
I'm really excited to see it. My friend Michael Arndt, who we were talking about, is actually working on the script right now. I was, mixing this movie up at Skywalker and saw him up there, and he's working hard, and it sounds like they've got some really exciting stuff in store. So I'm really excited to see it. I'll be there for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. We're really excited to see Oblivion.
Thank you.